General Hospital spoilers tease that what should have been a warm, joyful milestone in Port Charles, Donna Corinthos' birthday party, has quietly become one of the most dangerous turning points in recent memory. The celebration was intended to be an oasis, a moment of familial peace amidst the constant turmoil. But instead of laughter echoing through the halls and innocence being preserved, the event has begun to unravel a web of secrets, suspicions, and power plays, revealing one of the most unsettling adjustments the Corinthos family has faced in years. At the center of this shifting storm stands Avery Jerome Corinthos, watching, observing, noticing. Though still young, Avery is no stranger to tension. Growing up between the volatile orbits of Ava Jerome and Sonny Corinthos has shaped her into someone far more perceptive than anyone realizes. And at Donna's party, a day filled with confetti, cake, and the illusion of stability, Avery began to feel something was deeply wrong. She noticed Ava first. Her mother's eyes, always sharp and calculating, were unfocused. Distracted. Ava smiled when expected, complimented Donna on her birthday dress, and even brought a lavish gift. But her movements were off, her glances too frequent toward the door, her grip on her champagne glass too tight for someone who claimed to be celebrating. Most telling of all? Ava left early. Too early. And she didn't say why. Avery asked herself the questions no child should have to. Where did Mom go? Why did she look nervous? Who was she texting under the table? She told herself she wasn't being paranoid. And she wasn't. Because while Donna's candles were being lit and Sonny posed for photos with his children, something else was brewing beyond the party walls, and Ava was right at the center of it. For weeks, there had been whispers in Port Charles about Ava's growing entanglement with a new figure, someone whose name wasn't spoken often but whose reach was expanding fast. Rumors swirled about hidden deals, coded messages, and a quiet betrayal building in the shadows. Ava, who had long danced the line between loyal mother and lethal strategist, now seemed to be playing a new game, one that Sonny might not survive. And Avery, despite her age, had begun to see the signs. She noticed the shift in Ava's tone whenever Sonny's name came up. She caught a flash of something, guilt, perhaps? Or worse, calculation, in Ava's expression when she handed Donna her gift and looked over at Sonny hugging his daughter. Something inside Avery twisted. She didn't understand the full picture, but she knew one thing: her mother was hiding something, and it involved Sonny. Meanwhile, Sonny remained unaware of the trap forming around him. He was too caught up in the illusion of peace, too focused on keeping his family close in the wake of endless turmoil. Donna's birthday had seemed like a perfect opportunity to prove to himself, and to the town, that the Corinthos household was finally stable again. But stability in Port Charles is an illusion. And the people closest to you are often the ones you should fear the most. Avery's suspicion soon became something more. In the days following the party, she found herself overhearing whispered phone calls and spotting unfamiliar faces near the house. Once, when she returned home from school early, she saw Ava speaking to a man in a car parked too far from the curb. The conversation stopped the moment Avery approached, and Ava's expression turned cold, something Avery wasn't used to seeing. That night, Ava acted like nothing had happened. But Avery knew better. And she wasn't going to ignore it anymore. This new development, Avery's rising awareness and growing mistrust, has become one of the most dangerous adjustments in the tangled ecosystem of Port Charles. Because Avery, for the first time, isn't just a child caught in the crossfire. She may very well become the match that lights the next explosion. And Sonny, hardened and battle-scarred as he is unknowingly standing on a ticking time bomb. For all his instincts, for all his past betrayals and the enemies he's outwitted, Sonny has a blind spot when it comes to family. He believes in blood, in loyalty, and in control. But Ava has always been an exception, untouchable because of their shared connection to Avery, protected because of past truces and mutual leverage. He never truly saw her as a threat. Not anymore. And now, that complacency might cost him everything. Because Ava is no longer the Ava of old. The Ava standing in the shadows of Donna's party is cunning, vengeful, and possibly working with Sonny's enemies. And worst of all, She knows things no one else does. She has access, leverage, and a motive. Some believe she's still angry about being pushed aside in Sonny's inner circle. Others whisper that her recent financial moves point to something far more calculated. Some even believe she's working as a broker between Sonny's enemies and an external syndicate looking to re-enter Port Charles. No one knows the full truth. But Avery senses the danger, instinctively, deeply, and her growing fear is starting to show. Avery has begun asking questions. At first quietly, then more directly. She's asked Sonny where her mother goes when she's not answering her phone. She's asked Donna if Ava ever mentioned anything about deals or secrets. Her questions, innocent on the surface, are starting to ripple outward. Carly, observant and protective as ever, has noticed the tension. Michael and Jocelyn are starting to pick up on it too. And once again, the Corinthos house finds itself slowly cracking from the inside. The birthday party, meant to represent unity, is now remembered as a turning point, the moment when something shifted. One smile too forced. One absence too long. One child's intuition too sharp to be ignored. This is no longer just about family drama. This is about one of the newest, most dangerous adjustments taking root in Port Charles. An adjustment where Ava may no longer be just the complicated ex, she might be the architect of Sonny's downfall. And Avery, unknowingly, may hold the key to either saving him or watching everything burn. In the days to come, as Ava becomes more entangled in her web of secrets, and as Sonny begins to realize someone close has betrayed him, the fallout from Donna's birthday party will be remembered as the moment everything began to unravel. The party decorations have long been taken down. The cake has been eaten. The guests have gone home. But the storm is just beginning. And in Port Charles, storms never pass quietly. The chaos brewing in Port Charles has taken a turn no one expected, rooted not just in power, but in the unraveling of loyalty, blood, and obsession. What was once seen as small shifts in behavior has now exploded into a dangerous web of betrayal, manipulation, and psychological warfare, all centered around the growing conflict between Christina and Ava, a conflict so volatile that it's pulling in Drew, Cody, and ultimately Sonny into a crisis that threatens to destroy everything they've fought to preserve. At the heart of this dangerous adjustment is Drew, who has been spiraling for weeks. Once a man of strength and purpose, he now finds himself cornered by the very choices he thought would protect him. His alliance with Ava, once discreet and strategic, is now under fire. His involvement in shadowy dealings, covert communications, and whispered legal arrangements has finally come back to haunt him, and it's all unraveling at the worst possible time. The walls are closing in, and the pressure is coming from the most unexpected direction, Christina. While others underestimated her, Christina has been quietly orchestrating a slow, calculated power move to dismantle Ava's hold on the family. She has watched Ava manipulate, deceive, and twist the truth to suit her narrative for years, and now Christina has decided to strike back. But this isn't a loud, impulsive retaliation. This is surgical. And she's not doing it alone. Cody, whose street smarts and instincts have always kept him one step ahead of danger, has joined forces with Christina. Together, they've become an unrelenting force, cornering Ava with pressure from every side. They track her movements, intercept her calls, plant doubt in the minds of those closest to her. Ava, once the master manipulator, is now on the defensive, constantly looking over her shoulder, losing her footing, and making mistakes. What makes this even more dangerous is that Ava is entangled with Drew, whose name is now being whispered in all the wrong places. His link to Ava is no longer a secret, and as Christina and Cody close in, they expose just how deep his involvement goes. Documents. Transactions. Hidden communications. All roads lead back to him, and his reputation begins to fracture under the weight of suspicion. What once was strategy now looks like guilt. Drew becomes collateral damage in a war that is no longer about him, yet he's too close to escape. But the most unexpected turn comes when Avery begins to ask questions. Her young mind, sharp and aware, has started to see the cracks forming around her. She notices the arguments between Ava and Christina, the sudden tension in the air, the way Sonny looks at his daughters with confusion and growing fear. Avery isn't just watching, she's connecting the dots. And in a moment of honesty, she tells Sonny everything she's noticed. The missed calls. The whispering. The look in Christina's eyes that feels more threatening than protective. She tells him what she's heard, what she's seen, what she believes. And it's that moment, a child's truth, that shakes Sonny to the core. For Sonny, this revelation is more than just a warning. It's a bombshell. He realizes that Christina, his daughter, his firebrand, the one he always thought needed protecting, is the one orchestrating the storm. The one manipulating the players. The one turning family into enemies. He doesn't want to believe it, but the pieces fit too well. The control. The strategy. The growing alliance with Cody. And suddenly, Sonny is forced to confront something unthinkable. Christina may have become the very threat he spent his life protecting his family from. This isn't about reckless decisions anymore. This is obsession. Power. Possession. A war where lines have been erased and loyalty means nothing. Christina isn't acting out of pain or rage, she's acting out of purpose. She wants Ava gone. She wants the family realigned under her vision. And anyone in her way, including Sonny, is collateral. Ava, sensing the trap, tries to fight back. But she's surrounded. Her connection to Drew is exposed. Her credibility shattered. Her own daughter no longer trusts her. She's been outmaneuvered by someone she once called impulsive. Now she's scrambling to survive, desperate to find an ally before it's too late. Drew, meanwhile, is imploding. His name is being dragged through the mud. Every decision he made under the guise of protection now looks like conspiracy. He can't outrun the storm, and his alliance with Ava is now poisoning whatever reputation he had left. As the walls close in, Drew begins to lash out, making moves that only deepen the suspicion around him. He's becoming erratic, isolated, paranoid. And worst of all, he doesn't realize that Sonny has begun to suspect him, too. Because in Sonny's mind, the adjustment has already happened. The balance has shifted. He no longer knows who to trust. Avery's words echo in his mind every night. Christina's rise feels too sharp, too cold. Ava's fall is too calculated. And somewhere in the middle, Drew is drowning. The new order forming in Port Charles is built not on strength, but on manipulation. It is Christina who now wields the power, and it is Sonny who realizes he may have let it happen under his own roof. This is no longer a family dispute. It is a cold civil war, disguised in smiles, waged in silence. And as the pieces move, as the players maneuver, one truth becomes clear: this adjustment will change everything. Sonny, once the king of control, now faces an enemy unlike any other, a daughter whose ambition may be more dangerous than any rival he's ever known. Because when blood turns to fire, and trust turns to strategy, the real war isn't about territory. It's about the soul of a family that may already be too far gone. The confirmation of Ava's death has sent shockwaves through Port Charles, shattering any illusion that the dangerous games being played were still under control. Her sudden and violent end marks not just the collapse of one of the city's most cunning and manipulative forces, but the beginning of a terrifying new chapter, one defined by unrelenting chaos, moral implosion, and the collapse of family trust. The truth is undeniable: Ava is gone. And Christina is going to be arrested. What was once a complex, layered feud between two dangerous women has now evolved into a full-scale tragedy, and Sonny Corinthos finds himself at the center of it all, standing in the ruins of a family that is imploding from within. The confirmation of Christina's impending arrest isn't just shocking, it's unbearable. A daughter, a sister, a once beloved protector now cast as a suspect in what may be the most dramatic fall from grace in recent Port Charles history. But deeper than the grief, deeper than the betrayal, lies something even more troubling. Sonny doesn't know who to protect anymore. The official version of events paints a chilling picture: Ava and Christina, locked in escalating tension, fueled by obsession, mistrust, and strategic sabotage. The investigation had long been brewing beneath the surface, quietly gathering surveillance, text message records, financial traces, whispered testimonies. And then, one night, it all came crashing down. Ava found dead. Christina placed at the scene. The arrest warrant written before the sun rose. And the Corinthos name, once feared and respected, now stained by scandal, grief, and whispers of betrayal. This is more than just a family crisis. This is one of the most devastating adjustments Port Charles has ever witnessed, the kind that alters alliances, breaks dynasties, and changes the trajectory of every character caught in its path. For Sonny, it is a living nightmare. The daughter he once protected, who once stood by him through fire and fury, is now the prime suspect in the murder of the mother of his child. And the guilt is unbearable. Not just because Ava is dead, but because Sonny saw the signs. Avery told him. Christina's behavior was spiraling, the power plays were getting more ruthless, the conflict between her and Ava was escalating to something far more sinister than jealousy or control. It was becoming war. And Sonny, in trying to hold the family together, let it all unravel under his watch. Now, the aftermath is explosive. The media descends. Protesters gather outside the police department. Old enemies crawl from the shadows with leverage. Family members begin to splinter, each one questioning the others. Some defend Christina with blind loyalty. Others turn their backs, unable to stomach the possibility. And in the middle of it all, Sonny is forced to face what may be the most difficult decision of his life. Does he protect his daughter, or does he stand with the truth? Christina, once defiant, now sits in silence. Her arrest has not just stripped away her freedom, it stripped away the story she spent so long crafting. The confident activist, the empowered voice, the Corinthos who rose from the ashes of chaos now stands alone in a cell, her eyes unreadable, her silence louder than any denial. Did she do it? Was Ava's death premeditated, a final strike in a war that spiraled too far? Or was she framed, pulled into something bigger, something colder, orchestrated by forces who wanted both women gone? Regardless of the truth, Port Charles has chosen its narrative, and it's moving fast. The DA prepares for trial. The press spins its headlines. And Sonny is losing control by the hour. Every decision he makes now has consequences. Every move is scrutinized. And the man who once ruled the city from the shadows now finds himself cornered by grief, rage, and the painful question that won't go away: did I raise a killer? This is the newest and most volatile adjustment, not just to Sonny's world, but to the power structure of Port Charles itself. Ava's death creates a vacuum. Her secrets, her leverage, her alliances, all gone. And Christina's arrest sends tremors through every family, every business deal, every dark alley of the city. Cody vanishes. Drew refuses to speak. Carly starts questioning everything. Jocelyn distances herself. Michael begins to quietly explore legal protections. And Avery? She cries in silence, asking where her mother is, while Sonny breaks apart inside. The rift has gone too far. There is no going back to peace. No more family dinners. No more pretending that blood means protection. Christina's fall may only be the beginning. Because Ava's death is not the only secret about to surface. There are others who know what really happened. There are hidden recordings. There are loose ends. And as the police dig deeper, and Sonny struggles to protect what's left of his family, a new obsession begins to grow, not just justice, but revenge. Sonny now stands on the edge of something darker than anything he's faced before. The Corinthos name, once untouchable, is now whispered in shame. The man who once commanded loyalty with a glance now sees doubt in every pair of eyes around him. And as he prepares to face the storm ahead, one truth becomes inescapable: this is no longer about Ava or Christina. This is about how far Sonny is willing to go to protect what he loves, and what he's willing to destroy in the process. Because once death enters the family, once the blood spills within the walls, once the adjustments stop being strategy and start being survival, there is no peace left. Only war. And in this war, Sonny may finally lose the only thing he's never been willing to give up: himself. Avery's voice trembled as she stood before Sonny, her small hands clenched tightly, eyes glassy with fear, pain, and something even deeper, desperation. This wasn't a child asking for comfort after a nightmare. This was a daughter pleading for her mother's life. And as Sonny looked down at her, everything else in Port Charles, his power, his pride, his reputation, fell away. All that remained was the raw, echoing truth. His family was on the verge of total collapse, and the only one brave enough to beg for mercy was a little girl begging him to stop her sister from going too far. Avery wasn't just asking Sonny to help Ava. She was begging him to stop Christina before she crossed a line that no one could come back from. The line between rage and ruin. Between family and war. And her words struck Sonny in a way nothing else had. They didn't come from politics or alliances or power plays. They came from love. From terror. From a place that Sonny, deep down, remembered from long ago. When he still believed he could protect everyone he loved from everything that threatened them. That belief had faded over the years, eroded by betrayals, deaths, and impossible choices. But now, it surged back to life, burning in Avery's eyes like a mirror of the man he used to be. And it forced Sonny to confront a new truth. Christina was spiraling, and no one was stopping her. Her crusade against Ava had turned dark, personal, and obsessive. What began as arguments and veiled threats had evolved into surveillance, manipulation, and open intimidation. Christina had convinced herself she was saving the family from Ava's poison, but in doing so, she had become poison herself. Her actions weren't rooted in justice, they were rooted in vengeance. And now, the girl Sonny once swore to protect had become a danger to the very family she claimed to defend. Ava, for all her flaws, didn't deserve to be hunted. She didn't deserve to be erased. And Sonny, as much as he tried to stay neutral, could no longer deny that the balance had shifted. That Christina was no longer just a troubled daughter lashing out, she was a force, reckless and emboldened, capable of destruction. Avery's plea was a turning point. One of the most profound adjustments to Sonny's life and legacy. It forced him to accept that the time for waiting was over. That if he didn't act now, he would lose more than just Ava. He would lose Avery's trust. He would lose Christina to the very darkness he had tried to protect her from. And he would lose himself in the guilt of watching everything burn. So Sonny began crafting a new story, a new strategy, not as a kingpin or a father caught in the middle, but as a man trying to stop a war inside his own bloodline. He didn't make declarations. He didn't send threats. He moved in silence, gathering information, reconnecting with old allies, analyzing every step Christina had taken. He began tracking the financial trails, the phone records, the sudden shifts in behavior. And what he found chilled him. Christina had been more organized than he thought. More deliberate. She had set traps around Ava from every angle, legally, socially, even emotionally. Cody had helped. Drew, indirectly, had enabled. And Sonny realized that this wasn't just family tension. It was a well-constructed takedown. One that, if not stopped, could end in blood. But stopping it would require more than interference. It would require sacrifice. Sonny had to be willing to confront Christina face to face, not as a criminal, not as an enemy, but as a daughter he still believed could be saved. He had to reach the part of her that still remembered love, not war. And he had to do it before she silenced Ava forever. Avery's voice replayed in his head every night, "Please, stop Christina. Save Mommy." Those words became the heartbeat of Sonny's new mission. Because if he failed, if he waited too long, there would be no turning back. Christina would be consumed by her own obsession, Ava would be gone, and Avery would carry that pain for the rest of her life. This was no longer about alliances or reputation. This was about redemption. And Sonny knew that if he didn't rewrite the narrative now, it would be written for him, in police reports, in obituaries, in whispered shame. So he stepped into the storm, not as the man everyone feared, but as the father everyone had forgotten. Not with guns, but with truth. Not to destroy Christina, but to save her from herself. And as he moved, the city watched in silence, holding its breath. Because when Sonny Corinthos finally acts, not for power, but for love, Port Charles never stays the same.